Imagine it's like 1986, and this type of music is like cutting edge.
Yeah.
Brand new.
Very fucking
no one's done this yet.
fastest thing available.
I wonder how that felt. They must have had such a blast making
Just thinking
thrash
like,
metal.
dude, we're making the fastest record anybody's ever cut.
Yeah.
They had no idea blast beats were coming.
Welcome to episode 8 of Down to the Merrow. Leon and I are chilling here in the studio today. We were just talking about gateway metal bands. Bands that led you down the path.
The ones that brought us to where we are now.
The ones that basically spawned all the metal we know and love from years past
Yeah.
and years coming. We're talking about Metallica, Megadeth, Slayer.
Thrash leading up to death metal. The very center of it all was Slayer.
They're like the threshold.
Threshold, yeah.
For going to the next step.
Exactly. Like they're the last gate before you are officially into death metal.
Right. And Metallica, that was like my first metal band.
Before that, I was into glam, I guess, like, Motley Crue and
Same.
Poison and stuff like that. And I heard Metallica and I was like, wow, this is really, really out of control.
It spoke to you, right?
Yeah.
You want to know how I found out about Metallica?
Oh,
like
absolutely.
I have the actual story of how I discovered Metallica. It must have been like 1987-ish. I was 7 or 8 years old. And my dad had just bought this new work truck. It was a Mazda, like B2200
Hell yeah.
truck, you know. He let his friend borrow it, like the day after he got it, to go do some work or something. And his friend rolled it off a cliff.
That's the worst.
He totaled it, and it was before it was even insured or anything. Like it,
Wow.
his friend just destroyed
total
it.
write-off.
So they bring back this truck, or what's left of this truck, park it on the side of the house, like upside down.
It's just
like
a
this thing
pyramid-shaped pile of
it's
metal.
just, it's literally looks like something out of Terminator 2.
Oof.
You know, it's just like,
Yikes.
it's just shards of metal.
Yeah. Broken
And of
glass.
course, I wanted to play with it. I went over there, and someone got really hurt in it. No one died. Luckily,
Thankfully,
nobody died in this accident. But I was playing around in this truck with just shattered glass and everything. So I'm looking around in this thing, like just wondering how bad it must have hurt to roll off a cliff in that.
Yeah.
And under the seat, there's this white tape sitting there with a couple little blood spatters on it. I pick
Perfect.
it up, and it just says Metallica, Master of Puppets. So when I found this tape, I had already been getting into like Sabbath, Judas Priest, like, you know, I was already
You're getting
into
you were taking
the
baby
stuff,
steps.
you know, but I
Yeah.
didn't know anything about Metallica.
Sure.
So I get this tape, I go up to my bedroom, put it in my little Marantz tape deck. I also had the record player with the plastic cover
Yeah,
on the
of
top.
course,
you know?
yeah.
It was cracked. Always had a crack
Yeah.
in it. I start it, and all I hear is, okay, it's just like AC/DC.
Yeah.
And it's like,
It's like Hell's Bells. I never thought of that.
and then it just busts in, it's like,
Yes!
and
So
by the time
fucking
that
sick.
hit, that propelled me headfirst into loving metal. That was the first time I heard a chug. That
Yeah, I was just
actually
gonna say,
wrecked me, dude.
Like when I hear chugs nowadays, I'm kind of like, okay. But like when I heard that then,
Yes.
that sound of a speaker hitting the outside, like the cone
It's glorious.
flexed out.
It's
Just,
glorious.
yeah.
And you know what? We're gonna try hard today to replicate that.
Yeah.
Because Leon was kind enough to steal an amp from his wife. That is very special.
Hi, Liz.
Thank you, Liz. Thank you, Liz. What did you bring over?
Brought over a Mesa Mark IV, and I think it's from
Dang.
the 80s. So, yeah.
I think we have to fix it before we fire it up, according to Liz. But we're gonna check it out, plug it in, kind of blow the dust out of it. It's gonna smell fantastic.
Yeah, oh, you're gonna burn off all that
so good
dust and skin and shit.
I can't wait. So stay tuned, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna shut it off right there.
Or fuck off.
That's 666 there.
We were listening to Metallica the other day, and I was just like, God damn, this is so good.
Yeah.
It's
This
just
is
so-
why you went down that path.
Yeah, and it's like I had forgotten. You know, for years I was just like,
You know what they do is they fill this void, but they leave this huge gap where you just want something more. You want more of that.
Get heavier and faster. And it's
Yeah.
like Metallica, it's not exactly restrained, but there is a restraint there. It's accessible, right? Like it doesn't get to the point where it feels like it's out of control. Like you hear like early death metal bands, like they could not play any faster.
On Master of Puppets, the first time I heard that, it was by far the fastest, tightest
for
thing
sure.
I'd ever heard.
Yeah.
And the guitar sound is so insane.
Yeah, that speaker chuggy. Oof,
Everybody
yeah.
knows. I
Yeah.
mean, it's a standard for,
Right.
for good tone. Just like release of power. That poor camera over there's just getting punished for piss right now. It's like a splash.
What the fuck
It sounds
is
like
that
a splashing.
sound?
It's like just fucking laminated in sadness. So where are we headed right now? This
Called,
restaurant you're talking about?
It's some hipster barley and vine or the fucking barrel and crate.
Oh wow, that thing is piping hot.
This is super
It's like they just
fucking
pulled it out of the center of the
straight
earth.
Do you have any questions that you wanted to get at?
There were some that we didn't get last time.
Oh, okay. I've got some old
I like it when
ones.
you pick them because then I don't have any time to think about the answer.
This one's fucking goofballs.
Pedro Rice says, Hola, Senor Merrow. What is your opinion about aliens and extraterrestrial life? Love, longtime Portugal fan.
Wow, you hit me with a heavy one.
Right off the bat.
Yeah, right out of the
First
gate.
question of the day.
Do I believe in aliens? Well, I believe that there is a definite possibility in the scope of this universe that we live in that there is other life other than just us on this one rock floating around. I think there's more to it than that.
I think it would be real hubris to assume that we were the only living things in the entire universe. Like the universe is so unfathomably
I know
large.
that it is a very, very precise and delicate balance as to why we exist.
Right. Like the entire universe conspired to make it happen. But I still think like there's no way that we're the only ones. Like,
There seems like there would be another combination of some type that would yield life. I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean life as in two legs walking around having a conversation. I mean, it could be a little microbe or something. Because life is born in the weirdest places, man. I mean, if you look at the bottom of the ocean where you have those steam vents and everything, where it's like little crustaceans crawling around on it, you know?
And that's the only place on Earth they can live.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be pretty narrow-minded just to assume that, like, this is all there is.
Necessarily believe that we've been like visited by aliens or anything like that, but just the arm of the Milky Way that we're in is so unfathomably large. Like, you know, it would take millions of years to cross this. That's just one arm of
one
this tiny
little
little galaxy. Yeah.
We're just one little dot in there.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go even further on that subject. Do you think there's such thing as like an alternate reality?
I don't know if I do, but I want to believe that there is like a multiverse. That
Like a
is
parallel universe?
like not just one, like an infinite amount.
It's a really hard concept to wrap your brain around.
Right.
Where it's like bubbles that kind of interconnect
Yeah,
or something.
concentric. Is there a billion other versions of you that did something slightly different?
Wouldn't that be crazy? I think that's a very complex and creative outlook. Do you think astral projection is possible? Like, do you think you can will your spirit and your mind to another place? Leave your body?
When I had surgery, like in November, nothing major, but I had nasal surgery, and
I
it
remember.
was the first time I had ever been put under,
You almost died.
and I almost died. There's definitely like a weird recollection of seeing the inside of that room from not my eyes.
Like you saw above.
It was weird.
bed
It was
or
like,
something?
it's just really hard to explain. Like, it was, and it's super brief. I'm not sure if I had an out of body experience or something like that, or if it was just like, you know, I was super high on
high,
drugs. And, you know, your brain does a lot of weird shit to compensate for, you
In
know.
that particular situation, I'd say that's more likely. I feel like the whole concept of astral projection isn't necessarily, it's not a physical thing, it's an ethereal thing.
Yeah.
It's a thing that exists within your mind, I think.
Sure.
If you can turn off your brain hard enough and fast enough to where you can just get into that zone where you feel like
Yeah.
you're in that big black open void of space,
Sure.
and you can just kind of like move around within it and sort of imagine what it might be. I think that's as close as I've ever gotten to that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I do that sometimes when I want to write music. The last record, Reading the Bones, it was that. I would meditate to the point where I was almost asleep. Because meditating's hard. Like it's not something.
So
you
what
can
is
just
meditation to you? Is that like do you repeat something, or you just like tune out completely? And
I got better at it to the point where I didn't need help, but I used to use like guided meditation. And that's where I think I've found some of my best ideas musically, was just traveling around in like this weird void inside my own head,
yeah.
where you just shut everything off and you do your best to not think about anything. And you know me, I'm all over the place, dude. Like that's hard for me to do, to shut off my
Yeah.
brain and not think about anything for 5
That's
seconds.
why I've never really tried to meditate. I mean, I'll take a 5-minute breather and just kind of like try to empty my head, but it's like it's
I
never.
gotta have that clarity every once in a while. Like if I don't ground myself and kind of get present, like in the moment.
Yeah.
Like right now, I feel very in the moment. Clarity is a very weird thing for a lot of people. Like
Yeah.
when you're driving down the street, you often don't even think about like, you know, there's cars over here. You're not thinking about anything. Like you're not like, this is the steering wheel.
Oh
like,
yeah,
looking
like
that
half the time
closely at it.
you're on complete autopilot.
You're on autopilot
yeah,
for
and it's
everything.
like somebody fucking said you look stupid in your video or whatever. I mean, that's what I'm thinking.
And your brain is
you know,
completely
yeah.
consumed with that.
Yeah. Ian Luca asks, hey Keith, how do you go about naming your songs, and how long did you spend the most for figuring out a name for a song?
Yeah, sometimes I actually name my songs before I've even written them, because sometimes the name will spawn the idea for the song. I'm trying to think of a good example of that. Coven of Hags, for example, off of Reading the Bones. I had this image in my head of a coven of witches dancing around a fire, laughing, doing the thing that
Witches do.
you see in your head, you know? That song is basically like scoring what I see in my head.
Okay.
You know, so it starts out with this like 6/8 feel, kind of marching around a fire sort of vibe, and that's kind of one way that I name my songs. Other ways is sometimes I just name them based on experiences, or the songs will have some kind of correlation to what I was doing at the time that I wrote them.
Oh, sure.
But funny enough, I do have a song that's called Noob, Noobe. People ask me all the time what that means. It actually means new out-of-body experience.
Oh, we just hit it. Yeah.
And I wrote that in probably like 2010 or something like that. And that's back when I was kind of thinking about that stuff a lot. Like, is that a thing that exists? Like, can you will your consciousness outside of your body? And my music is always just a score to whatever the idea is, you know. So I'm always thinking like, the song starts off really kind of ethereal and floaty, and you know, kind of atmospheric, and it's to represent kind of that concept. You know? So I mean, sometimes it happens really quickly, but it's never taken me very long to name a song. Yeah. Some songs, the names have more meaning than others. Sometimes it's just like, oh, this song's done. It's not that I don't love it, but I got to call it something now.
Sure.
You know, so you just name it, and you name it whatever. And sometimes the names don't have a whole lot of meaning, but I try to make it so every song has a relevant meaning. We crushed this snack plate. I'm about to crush this beer, and then we're gonna go back and we're gonna play some riffs at the house.
Fuck yeah.
That was hella like Halloween at the end there on the D-E-B. Like,
Was it good?
Yeah, I was like, the crying baby scream. You know?
Yeah, right.
All right, well, that's it for this week. Don't forget to leave your question down in the comment section of this video. And it might show up in the next Down to the Merrow. Hey, you guys like this killer dragon bell thing I got when I was in Taipei? Apparently, it'll bestow upon you ancient wisdom when you like, subscribe, and ring the bell. Nothing happened. This thing sucks.